Hello and welcome to this third week of our new series, Water Cooler Talk. Thank you for joining me. Sorry to be a little late, but you know what? We're actually testing the very things that many speakers teach us. You don't have to be perfect to press go. Just do it. I've been hearing things like that for years. I've been in the speaking industry for 25 years, learning from incredible speakers, thought leaders, and I'm so grateful to all of them because it is because of you and what you are teaching us from stages, in workshops, in breakout rooms, that we are able to take information back and do something with it. And not do something with it at work, but also do something with it at home. I always said that when I work with speakers, I want to work with the speakers who evoke emotion and invoke action. And actually, 5 years ago, that was the start of my first company, Evoke Invoke. In 2019, I started Evoke Invoke to be able to work with speakers who help us think differently and do differently. And these 5 years have transformed into some amazing relationships, opportunities. Speaker Story Bank was formed in those years. And I'm so very, again, grateful to this speaking industry where we work together and we come together truly built on trust with one another. And those are the things that we're going to be talking about today. And that is what Water Cooler Talk is about. Water Cooler Talk is intended to be those drops of conversations that we could take back to the office every day, that we could take back at home to the dinner table at night. What is your water cooler talk going to be this week? Is it going to be talking about people and saying the negative and only talking about the outliers and only highlighting the things that go wrong? Or is it going to be talking about the lessons we learn together, how we rise together, what we build together, what we design with trust, which is going to be something that at the very end, I am thankfully pulling in my dear friend, Jerry Mikulski, an incredible futurist and trust expert who's going to talk to us about designing from trust. Called him this morning. This is what I mean about trust. You call in the people you trust. You call in the people that could show up for you. And if my voice is a little too loud and my passion is a little too strong, I am sorry. But this is who I am. If you know me in this industry for the 25 years that I've been in it, I love it as much as so many of you out there. I don't know who's watching this today. I don't know how we'll be sharing it, but I know these messages are important. And for whoever is watching, I want to say, if you're a part of the speaking industry, please join the conversation. Please start speaking up about the things that matter. Please create your own water cooler talk for the positive, for us showing up for one another together. I am a member of the International Association of Speakers Bureaus. I was co-chair in 2022. I was grateful, just grateful to be a part of this industry where, we fail at some things. We don't know how to guide through some things, but we're learning together. And I feel like I'm really sitting on the soapbox a little too long. So I am going to actually jump off the soapbox right now and kick this off with a really fun, awesome clip from Trevor Noah and Simon Sinek that I listened to, and a bit of optimism from Simon Sinek, where they talk about small talk and the importance of small talk. And guess what? It's important for all of us. I have an 18-year-old and a 12-year-old, and I want them to understand the importance of small talk with their parents, with leaders, with their friends. It is an art. It is part of community. It is what we need. So let's hear what they have to say about it.
I actually like small talk.
Do you?
Yeah, you know why? Because maybe like a few years ago, I read on how important small talk is and how in society we have diminished the value of small talk, but we don't realize that small talk is what connects us as people, and big talk.
Okay, I think maybe Brian. So Brian, voice of God, from Rig Productions. Hey, like I said, we're testing, we're working this out. Brian, just tell me what's going on. Like the video was not able to play. You could tell me live in this room. People can hear you, or maybe they can't, but just tell me the the clip failed for some reason. Okay, I'm sorry. These things like I said, flying by the seat of my pants, people, support me. Okay, we will have the clip for you in the links below. Suffice it to say, listen, I mean, Simon Sinek, Trevor Noah, all I'm saying is the clip worked on, okay, on LinkedIn. So Jan, thank you so much. I've got a posse of people helping me here. Look, bottom line, this is what I love. These are the pieces of water cooler talk, right? It's that coming together. It's when you listen to these kinds of, podcasts and conversations, again, how do we bring that back? And as Trevor, I loved it because I didn't actually share the clip where Simon starts it by saying, well, we hate water cooler. I mean, we hate small talk. He actually says to Trevor, he says, I love when we come together because we just dive into the big conversations. And he's like, because we hate small talk. And Trevor's like, well, I actually like small talk. And then hopefully you heard it. And if you didn't, we'll have the link. But I loved it so much because it is so true. I was at an event last week and I sat next to someone in the event and we had to pair off and do an exercise. And afterwards, we spent 20 minutes talking with one another. This was a leader of one of the largest food distribution centers. They just went to India to do work. They're doing incredible things around the world. A high-level leader, and we started talking about where he started in the. He doesn't have a college degree. We were talking about AI and how AI is changing things. And what he said to me was like, the one thing that's not changing is the kind of leader I am. I start with the conversation. I start with the small talk. I learn about people. I get them to trust me. That was power. That is what we're talking about. That is what leaders are teaching us on these stages. That is what all of you, if you're a speaker watching this, that is your opportunity. Whether you're doing it from the big stages, your community halls, you're starting like this on LinkedIn, sharing a piece of your thought leadership. And I will call it that. I know the industry, we have hard conversations about the word thought leader. But you know what? At the end of the day, I want my kids to grow up believing that even right now, at 12 years old, Sophia, she's a thought leader. Okay, I get emotional. But this is how passionate I am about this point. And so let's go into this next clip. And Brian, hopefully this one works. We'll see. This one is with Matthew McConaughey and Stephen Bartlett. Oh my gosh, if you have not seen this recent 2-hour interview with Matthew McConaughey, you need to watch it. This man, as most of you probably know, is an incredible storyteller. And he has so many great things. But this one is about, I love how he leads, stop being so impressed. And let's watch it. Let's hope we can watch it. And then I'll tell you what I think about it too. And hopefully it becomes part of your water cooler talk as well. Brian, let's try this one.
Involved. And my father passing on, the world got flat. Things that I revered, wow, mortal things that I revered, people, places, all of a sudden, my eye got level. Things that I was patronizing, condescending, and looking down my nose at rose up to eye level. And I was like, time to become a man. Walk forward, peripheral vision, get it, own yourself, walk forward with more courage, and start becoming the man you want to be instead of acting like it and putting it off. Be less impressed.
So, what my takeaway was when I was listening to this section of the interview is, again, what are we doing? Let's stop being so impressed with what's out there. Let's start doing the work. What are we doing? What are we focusing on? Just get out there and do it. I mean, for a very long time, it also, listen, I'm in the business of trying to help speakers get visibility and build relationships in the speaking industry, specifically with the world's leading global bureau agents, right? And I too, I'm always saying, you got to be on LinkedIn, you got to show up, you got to find ways to speak up in different ways. And even I am not, holding up to that, right? Like it's like the cobbler and the shoes, or the shoe cobbler, right? It's like you don't have the shoes for your own kids. That's how I feel sometimes. I'm not showing up enough either. And that's why I started Water Cooler Talk, because you know what? Even in these moments of issues and tech issues, we have to start speaking up in the ways that are authentic to us. And for that, I want you to watch this quick clip that I had with Jean Sparrow, who is a part of the Speaker Story Bank Collective this fall, which, by the way, I'll be speaking on that in a little bit, but it's a real turning point for this 5-year journey of mine, because I have wanted for a very long time to really, really just hone in on just a few speakers every few months and be able to deliver their stories and strategies in unique ways. And we're just starting that out this fall. And I'm so grateful to Jan Madura on my team, who's in the back room here, who's helping me with that. And again, to Rig Productions here, and to everyone that's just involved. But with that, I'd love for you to hear this conversation on fearless authenticity, how we need to be more authentic, even in the speaking industry, and how we could do this better together.
Marketing is all about differentiation, and we're always looking for those little points of differentiation. Why not go to the original source of differentiation? Authenticity. Like for me, it's always worked for me in broadcast, and I started seeing how people weren't using it elsewhere.
Yeah, in your radio broadcast career, your authenticity as the host and what you said in between the music, people come to listen to you for that. You were the
I had a boss who told me early on, and I didn't realize how important this would be throughout my career, but he said to me, I pick the hits. I pick the hits, but people stay because of what you say in between them. And I found the same thing to be true in television, because every station is talking about the same 3 or 4 stories. There's very little differentiation in the actual content. The thing that's different is the person that's saying it. We're all talking about the same thing, but you're going to listen because the perspective either aligns with or causes you to think differently and does it on a regular basis. And that's what you like.
Jean, you're making me think of specifically for the speaking industry. We're having a lot of conversations about how we are all the same. We sell similar names, all these kinds of things. So it is about the differentiation. Why do people stay? They'll go to certain agents because of certain relationships, but now is the time for those agents and these agencies to highlight that stuff even more.
And to know it. If you just go with who you are and what you do and endeavor to figure out what that is, then you're like 80% of the way there. The rest of it is saying it in a way that people will understand what it is you're talking about.
Mic drop. Oh, I see. Muted. Okay. Thank you, Brian. That clip with Jean. So here's the thing. I have these amazing conversations with these speakers on the daily, right? I'm on calls, I'm on Zooms, like many of you. And this one I really loved because, again, it just reminds us of the authenticity, right? I mean, Jean is an exceptional broadcaster, MC, speaker, and like she shared in that story, when she plays the hits on the radio, it's what she says in between the hits that people come back for. Right. That's the piece, the authenticity, her personality, what people want to hear. And so for the speaking industry, as we talk about in there too, it's like we've been having those conversations recently. How are we differentiating ourselves as agencies? Right. We all kind of look the same. We all start to sound the same. Certainly now with ChatGPT, we're sounding the same. I had a great conversation with Ian B. Kraft, who's part of the collective as well. An incredible speaker on the future of work and how AI is changing things. And we talked about, here's the beauty of ChatGPT. It can help us refine our commentary, what we're doing, how we're saying it, how we're writing it. But it's a race to the bottom at some point if that's all we're relying on. So if you don't start elevating beyond that, if you don't start sharing your essence, your uniqueness, your lens, we're just all going to start to sound the same. So how do we expect meeting planners to know who they can come to? who they can work with, who is in line and aligned with them. So to all of my speaking industry colleagues out there, you hear me talk about this all the time. I know we have very little time to be posting on LinkedIn. You'd rather be on calls with your clients. But I think your clients would love to see your thought leadership on LinkedIn as well. Who are the speakers that are lifting you up and elevating you? What's your water cooler talk for the week about those speakers, about the insider commentary that you're having on different calls? You're on calls with a lot of industry leaders. You don't have to talk about proprietary things, but you can certainly share globally what people are experiencing through an interesting and unique lens. And I mean, that truly is what I encourage you to do. All right, I hope that was a helpful clip. I'd love to go, Brian, to just the shot of the collective, just really quickly to touch on that. Again, as I shared earlier, yeah, I'm really so excited about this collective. And I have to, I also have to thank Impact 11 because I met these 4 speakers through Impact 11. As many of you know, Impact 11 was an organization that created a brilliant community for speakers, about speakers, educating speakers. The founding 4 people who founded Impact 11, speakers in our industry who served our industry, who work incredibly well in our industry, gave us an opportunity to have a community, to understand what true community is coming together. And regardless of how things changed, and for a bad player in that role that it took a turn, I want to just say here that at the end of the day, if we start looking at these opportunities and organizations as just transactional, that's all they'll be. But if you start thinking about it as transformational, the time that you spent there, investments you've made, but the transformation that happened, and certainly with Impact 11, people leapfrogged in ways, they learned about things in ways that were truly helpful. But I'm really excited to be working with these incredible 4 speakers here. Rachel Druckenmiller, she is helping us unmute ourselves. She was in the HR space, an award-winning leader in the HR well-being space and engagement for many years. And here's the thing about unmuting yourself. We're not talking about unmuting your staff in a way where they're going to just leave you. We're talking about, are you really sitting up at the table? Are you really speaking up for yourself? Even when people believe in you, are you raising your hand? I can tell you 100% that for 16 years, when I worked for the incredible Harry Walker Agency Global Speaker Bureau, I had great opportunities and I led through many of them. But there were also quiet ideas in my head that I was too afraid to bring up, even though I had people sitting at the table who would want to hear it. Are you one of those people sitting back? If you are, Rachel's the person to help you unmute yourself. Ian B. Craft, I just talked about him. He is bringing $1 billion teams to organizations. And what that means, he talks about being a creative generalist. What does it mean if in every division of your company, every role, people learn how to be a creative generalist, which means they're going to play and be creative? What does it mean when we come together, break down our silos, and come across together and really build something? Right from that place. That's what AI is helping us do if you know how to do it the right way. And he's guiding us through that. Jean Sparrow, you just saw her here give her content around authenticity. And I continue to share that message from the communications perspective. And Mike Robbins, who went from professional baseball until an injury took him out, into the tech world, into leadership in a real and raw way. I mean, for the last over 20 years, he has been helping leaders see why appreciation and authenticity are leading teams into a new level of engagement. I look forward to bringing more information about all of those players in the collective through the end of the year. I'll be sharing that. But now to close out on this, I have my special guest in the room. And Brian, if you could just bring up that one card on the speaking industry being built on trust. I'd just love to speak to that for a minute. And we could go ahead and, yeah, thank you. I encourage all of my colleagues out there to start doing your own public service announcement on the speaking industry, what you believe in it, what you love about it, where the trust is, because there's way more trust in this industry than there is mistrust. And I really, really think we need to raise our voices to that. And with that, I want to introduce Jerry Mikulski, incredible futurist, future of work, expert on trust. Jerry, come on into this conversation because I want to talk to you about in these last few minutes here, what we're going to do, we're going to just introduce your concept around design with trust. And then you and I will stay on after the live to do a little extended version conversation, which will drop at the end of this week. But for now, Jerry, I mean, you're an incredible speaker, thought leader. You are, let me just say before I go. Okay. Yeah, we could stay on the two shot. So I just want to talk to you about this idea of designing from trust, especially in this industry right now. Right. I mean, how do you speak to industries who have a blip, have a fall, maybe there are many falls, but how do you get them to stay focused on the trust piece? Because we could talk all day long and just like rib at each other for what we're doing wrong, but that's not helping anybody. But you're the expert, so I'd love to hear from you.
It's really interesting because the speakers are charged with with an important mission. They're trusted very heavily. You're putting somebody in front of a large group of people whom you are trying to either lead or impress or entertain or something like that. And the charge to the speaker is pretty big. And I think most speakers understand that and carry that. But if you think about it, there are many different layers to this trust business, trust in the speaking business. There's the trust built between the speaker and agents that represent the speaker. There's the trust built between the agents and their clients who book speakers. There's the trust between the clients and their internal clients, which is who they're producing events for. And then there's the trust between everybody who's making an event happen and their audiences and the people who are actually sitting there waiting for it. And that's a complicated chain of layers, all of which kind of need to work. Now, the speaking business has attracted a whole lot of people into it because just like the internet, anybody can put up a website, anybody can say, I'm a speaker. And finding your way to the trustworthy speakers is kind of hard, which is a great reason to go through agents for starters. Now, you were asking more about what happens when companies slip and fall. And it's interesting because back in the day, Tylenol, which has come into attention recently for other reasons, but back in the day, Tylenol had a disaster because somebody was poisoning some bottles of Tylenol in pharmacies and supermarkets. And Tylenol very actively went and created safety packaging for these kinds of packages. So tamper-proof, tamper-resistant packaging, all that kind of thing. They responded extremely well. So one of the interesting things about slipping and falling is that it often presents an opportunity to fix stuff. It's not that you're just going to, fall off the cliff and suddenly be splattered on the ground. It's that if you respond well and in a trustworthy fashion, you can do well. Now, the problem is a lot of people confuse or conflate trust and trustworthiness. And I'll exaggerate a little bit, but if I say, hey, trust me, this is going to go great, your little antenna, your little radar should start glowing bright red, because anybody who explicitly says, trust me, is unlikely to be that trustworthy. But if I behave in trustworthy ways, I can achieve trust. So trust is one of these indirect things where the moment you face it directly and try it, it's like happiness. If you decide to design your life to achieve happiness, you're kind of unlikely to be very happy. But if you design your life to help others, to go explore, to be curious, whatever else, you're going to meet people and do things that make you happy. It's a lateral, oblique byproduct of other kinds of approaches and intentions. And so, just to complicate things also a little bit, we're in a moment in history, in particular in the US, where trust is being undermined in a lot of institutions and a lot of places. And so I think that high trust entities and individuals will bubble to the surface. I think it's a moment where trustworthiness actually will pay off because people are thirsty for it. We're in a crowded environment. There's a lot of mistrust in the air. A lot of institutions are kind of flailing around, frankly, not responding very well to the situation. So there's all sorts of opportunity to leverage trust and build authentic relationships, as you were just saying, trustworthy relationships over time, to understand how this all works.
Yeah, I love that. And I mean, from this side, just very specifically in the speaking industry, again, like it's a saturated market. So I get it. Like there are a lot of things, there are a lot of players, right? I want to honor the people that want to talk about some of the mistrust, but how do we do that in a way where we could really honor the bigger picture of the trust and how this industry was built from a place of trust. And everyone in this industry is out there saying, we want to just put messages out on those stages that keep changing lives, thoughts, ideas, conversations. Like, what recommendation do you have for our colleagues in the industry right now?
Well, putting a speaker in front of an audience is all about getting them to say something that sticks in people's heads. That's one of the big goals, right? And hopefully, you want to change people's lives for the better. I think there's different tiers of advice, different kinds of advice, because people who are well established in the business are now like, well, who are all the rest of these people? And how do I get my voice out? And what do I do? And how do I get my voice out in a way that remains trustworthy over time? So the advice there, and I was just reading yesterday a couple articles about authenticity at work and how it was like, bring your whole self to work and all that. And there's some backlash against authenticity at work. It's like, hey, don't bring all of you. It's very interesting how that's kind of playing out.
Can we actually, and I don't mean to interrupt, but I do,
Yeah,
because it's a
please.
very important point. I agree. Like this whole I don't know what the article was, so you could share a little bit more, but if it's bring your whole self to work, like we don't have to hear about all the things in your life, but I think authenticity today is about what is the essence of you as an individual that you could bring to your role that will help elevate the role, right? Like I love what I do and I love being in rooms with friends like you are my friend, but we love to talk about these things that we love, these pieces, these ideas. And I don't think that's, oh, there's Marjana talking about work again. It's like, this is me. Like, I love this and you do. And our colleagues around this love it. So what's the differentiator right now? Because that kind of authenticity, I want that all day long, you know?
Exactly. A lot of it is just about doing things that are true to you that might be very, very tiny. A really long time ago, at my first job in the world, I was in the restroom, and one of the young rising executives was in there before me, and he was just sort of washing his hands at the sink, and he took his paper towel and he cleaned off the counter and threw away the paper towel before leaving. We didn't exchange a syllable, and that was an act of trust. That was an act of, he wasn't intentionally trying to build trust. He wasn't doing anything, but sometimes how you do every small thing is how you do everything. And in some way, paying attention to the small things and doing them in a way that other people are like, oh yeah. And you never know what's going to stick in anybody's head, what people will notice anywhere. So that's a piece of it. Another piece, just to throw another complexity into the formula, another big conversation right now is about how reality is melting, and it's hard to tell what image or thing is authentic, and about the creation of media that might supplant actors, that might supplant a whole bunch of different things. We're talking in the middle of that rising right now, right this minute. That is a new trend that could be a very powerful trend, could change how employment works and how a bunch of things work in the next decade or two. It could also exhaust us of novel images and all these funky videos that are so addictive, all that's happening as well. We're often, for me, trust and authenticity are differentiators that just stand out in those disturbing, turbulent scenarios where when you hear reality is melting, there's too many people in the business, it's like, okay, great. So settle down, settle in, be yourself.
Yeah.
Let things break so that you can fix them nicely, and then on from there.
Right. Like, let's get back in that sandbox. Like, let's play. Let's like you have those friendships from when you were kids. You get into that fight the one day, the next day you're role playing in other ways. I mean, this is the time to come back to some of those basics. And so I love what you're saying. I want to lead us out from here, Jerry, by you just sharing with us this concept of design from trust, and design with that intent, knowing that people, I think, are really trying to go from, like, really, let's think about politicians I truly believe that any politician, we're not making this about politics, any politician that starts on the journey, you start as mayor. I'm sitting here in my town. I'm like, who starts as mayor in my town? They start because they're a dad, a mom. They care about this community. They care about the public education system. I'm like, I care about those things. I want to do those things well. Believe I'm not going to ever run for politics in office, but everybody, I believe, starts with that in their heart, and then things change and you have to make dirty deals and it sucks. But like, how do we design from trust? How can we do it better? And just like, let's close this conversation there.
Thanks, Marjana. I use Wikipedia a lot to explain design from trust because most everybody has used it. So I'll ask an audience who has seen something interesting or used Wikipedia in the last month. 95% of the hands go up. And then I say, who remembers the day they figured out how Wikipedia works? And you get chuckles and groans, and a third of the hands go up. And I then go into that because at some point they realized with a tightening of their throat and their heart that, oh my God, any idiot on the planet can make a change to Wikipedia. And that's because it's a wiki, not an editorial process. And Wikipedia started as the Newpedia project, which had a 7-layer editorial process and volunteers who had been delegated, you're going to do geometry, you're going to do geology, you're going to do math, you're going to do French, and you're going to do France. And that didn't work. After 2 years of effort, they'd gotten 20 articles kind of through the editorial process. Wikis are social websites where anybody who wants to can monitor and change and correct any site. So that's interesting. And that's a complete example of design from trust in like 3 or 4 or 5 different ways, because the content is open sourced, the software is open source, all the discussions are openly available on the talk pages behind each page, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. The internet was designed from trust. The World Wide Web's also. If you've ridden in a Lyft or an Uber recently, ride sharing and any kind of asset sharing, the sharing economy is designed from trust. Microfinance is designed from trust because you give loans to people who have no collateral, no thing you can take away from them when they fail to repay the loan. And yet repayment rates on microfinance loans were better than normal trustworthy risks, right? People like you and me. So design from trust doesn't just sort of happen spontaneously. It actually takes thoughtful and careful design. And because trust is fragile, it can also be fragile and it needs to be maintained. So there's a whole, what's interesting is that design from trust exists in the world right now in place after place after place after place. I've just picked out a couple to use as examples. But what I think I'm discovering is the red thread that connects them. The theme, the path, and the ideas, the principles that connect them. And the first principle of design from trust, and I'll stop after that, is assume good intent or assume good faith. And this does not mean everybody has good intent. It just means that everything works out better if you assume good intent and act that way. If you do the opposite and you assume that everybody's gonna rip you off or try to break your system, then what you get back, what you create, it creates this sort of self-fulfilling prophecy. You create people who then are like, well, I'm being treated with suspicion. I might as well either be suspicious back or be a bad actor anyway, because who cares? The system is designed to tolerate bad actors. Let's go for it.
Right.
But if the system is vulnerable to you, if you know that you could make, any page on the Wikipedia could be, what? The key is in the door is ajar. You can come in and do stuff that matters. That's a gesture of trust right there. Just like when we wave or shake hands, we're showing we're not holding a weapon, apparently. That's what anthropologists will tell you. How do you design a system that is undefended and that invites you in and that is vulnerable and that lets you fulfill some of your genius and some of your best wishes by joining into the system and helping make it better?
That's it. Yeah, I love that so much. I mean, thank you that's a great example, Wikipedia. I was fortunate to be working at the Harry Walker Agency while representing Jimmy Wales, the founder of Wikipedia, and had some conversations with him about that very thing. I'm like, gosh, how do you trust all these people? And it's like, because again, the outliers become the bad, right? So the same thing now, it's like, yes, we're going to have to deal with it and figure it out. But there's so many more of us who are good. And again, where we kind of started this conversation with the speaking industry too, right? It's like, this is where we're at. It's on us to share some of those better stories. Jerry, thank you. Hang out in the green room virtually.
Thank you. I'll read some of the magazines on the table here.
Yeah, we have a little more to discuss, you and I. But for everyone here who joined, or we'll be sharing this back later, thank you so much. I mean, again, Water Cooler Talk is about those drops of conversations that you're having on the daily, on the weekly. What's your water cooler talk going to be? Are you going to focus on the positive? Are you going to bring back home anger to your families? Or are you going to bring back home something that inspired you, something that helps you think differently, but more importantly, do differently? That's really the motto of Speaker Story Bank. That's been what we work for. I'm grateful for every speaker who has worked with us. I'm grateful for every agent and manager who has referred us. I am grateful for this incredible speaking industry. And let's continue to rise and grow together. And for all my friends who are part of the International Association of Speakers Bureaus, we're going to be in Charlotte, November 13th through 15th. If you did not register, today is the last day to register for your room block. You are going to have some serious FOMO if you do not show up in Charlotte. I am telling you, the incredible team of our president and the chairs are doing an incredible job. So let's just, you just got to show up. So that's all I'm saying. We'll close out here. And Jerry, I'll see you on the back end. Thank you, everyone.